YouTube, what's happening, guys? We are back with another episode here at the Bettor's Edge, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What a night we had last night, guys. Right on the number. I talked to you guys about the game on Thursday Night Football. I talked to you guys about the Patriots laying 12.5, 13 points, and it being way too close to call. When picking and looking at a side. And I told you guys, if you wanted a winner, the winner was on the total. And I told you, in order for that total to go over, you were going to have to see the Patriots score a minimum of 30. I also told you guys, in order for the total to go over, you probably were going to have to see if the Patriots didn't hit 30, then the Jets were going to need to hit 17. And I mentioned I didn't think either of those two things were going to happen. We had a missed field goal in there, got a little bit of luck in the first half. We don't know exactly how that would have changed the dynamics in the second half, but at the end of the day, the final score, 27-14 in the Patriots' favor, lands on the under 43.5. We had a winner last night. Let's move on to tonight, guys. I want to talk about both college football games on this Friday night slate of action. I have one pick in the second game, and the first game is a stay away. Let's talk about the first game first. You have the Clemson Tigers on the road at the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville, a home favorite, 2.5 points. I see a lot of actions on both sides of this game, guys, and I can understand the reasoning behind individuals liking Clemson, and I can understand the individuals liking Louisville. In my opinion, as I mentioned, this is a stay-away game. In my opinion, this is an evenly matched game. These two teams are nearly identical in how they play and what they're good at, and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. Let's take a look at Clemson. Obviously, this Clemson team has been a disappointment this season and really has been a disappointment for the last handful of seasons, dating back to when they were, an elite program with Deshaun Watson. In particular, this team, you have Cade Klubnik at QB. This is a dual-threat quarterback. This is a player who, coming into the season, had sky-high expectations. He was being talked about as potentially being a first-round draft pick as a prospect going into the NFL. This Clemson team this season is almost identical to what we saw last season. This and maybe even the season before. They come in with relatively high expectations. I think this was a top 5 team, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely top 10 team in the country preseason rankings. We know those don't mean a ton, but they had high expectations coming into the season. They start to flounder early in the season. And then last season in particular, they really start to hit stride, improve, and go on a little bit of run. We could be seeing that exact same thing here with this Clemson team this season. This is a team that offensively throws the ball relatively well. They don't run it very, very well. Defensively, they stop the run very, very well, and you can throw the ball a little bit on them. At the same time, this Louisville team is almost identical to that. They have the home field advantage. They have a quarterback that can throw the ball around. They're better passing the ball than they are running the ball, but they also have a little bit of a run game. And defensively, they're also very good stopping the run, and if you want to get some yards on them, you're going to have to throw the ball. So both teams' strengths line up with the other team's weakness offensively. What I mean by that is both teams are going to be able to throw the ball or have more success throwing the ball than the opposition is going to be able to have success stopping the pass. And both teams are going to struggle running the ball. I think this game is honestly a toss-up. When I look at this game, I don't see an edge whatsoever with either side. If you could get 3, and I don't recommend buying it up to 3 and paying the extra juice, there's just not enough advantage in that. If you could get 3, I'd probably lean just a tad towards Clemson. But at 2.5, it's basically a pick 'em. I don't see an edge with either side. So when I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at two teams that play similar football. There's a small advantage, which is why the line is probably -2, -2.5 with Louisville, because they are the home team. But the reason why I'm a little bit hesitant towards leaning towards Louisville is just because what I mentioned previously. We've seen this Clemson team go on runs at this portion in the season in the past. They get out of the gate slowly, they start to hit their stride, and then they really start winning some games that you don't really expect them to win with how poorly they played previously. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if Clemson ends up winning this game. If you forced me to make a pick, I probably slightly lean still towards Louisville. But as I mentioned, there is no edge on either side of this thing. Stay away from Clemson at Louisville tonight. Let's move on to where we do have an edge, where we do have a pick. The second college football game tonight. For a Friday night, we have a decent slate of action in college football tonight. You have the Minnesota Golden Gophers on the road getting 25.5 points at the Oregon Ducks. We faded this Ducks team last weekend, guys. They went into Iowa. We took the Iowa Hawkeyes plus the points. We were able to cash that ticket relatively easily. It was a slobber knocker style type of a game. Two defenses in poor weather that really showed out, and two offenses that really struggled to move the ball successfully. That's what we anticipated prior to the game, and that's what we got in that game. This is a no-brainer type of a game, guys. We've seen this Minnesota team play two opponents that I don't want to say are both in Oregon's class, because even though the Iowa game last weekend was very tight neck and neck, Iowa is not in Oregon's class overall. We've seen Minnesota play Iowa on the road, and we've seen Minnesota play Ohio State on the road. These are probably the two best opponents that they faced. Guys, they put up 3 points, respectively, in each game. This is a Minnesota team that does not have a ton of success moving the ball, especially when they're playing elite defenses. They very much struggle offensively. I don't see a scenario in which Minnesota is going to put up a ton of points tonight. As I mentioned, we've seen them against some elite defenses already this season, and they've scored 3 points, respectively, in each of those two games. I'm not sure if Oregon is going to be able to shut them down to 3 points tonight, but realistically speaking, in order for them to cover 25.5, how many points do you have to hope that they score if you want to take Minnesota tonight? I would probably say you probably need them to score somewhere in the neighborhood of 17 to 20 points at a minimum. As I mentioned, we've seen this Minnesota team face off against Iowa. Iowa put up 41 on them in Iowa. Iowa's offense scored 41 against Minnesota's defense. And this is a Minnesota defense that's relatively good. This is the side of the ball that they're better at. We know Iowa doesn't have a very good offense. We know Oregon, more times than not, especially at home at Autzen, has an offense that you can rely on. If this Oregon team is going to put up somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 points, as I mentioned, you're going to have to count on Minnesota to score a minimum of 17 tonight, if not more than that. I just think this Oregon team, especially led by Dante Moore, this is one of the surprise quarterbacks of the entire country this season, who's putting out grade A performances week in, week out. What I love about this player, guys, is his composure in the pocket. I was super impressed with him when I faded Oregon at Penn State earlier in the season. I lost that wager. But what really impressed me was the composure from Dante Moore. What do I mean by that? When he's in the pocket, when the opposition blitzes him, when they're able to get pressure, this is a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes. He hangs in the pocket, he's able to go through his progressions, and he makes brilliant decisions. He can beat you with his arm, he can beat you with his legs, he can beat you with his brain. This is a player that is a complete player at this college level. He's probably not the favorite right now to win the Heisman, but he's definitely in the Heisman race. He's in contention. He's one of the names that you have to take into consideration to possibly make it to New York as a finalist. And that enough, coupled with this Oregon defense, we know they're able to put up points. They're at home. They're coming off of a brilliant win last weekend. The performance, as far as how the game panned out, wasn't pretty. But it's a brilliant win to win in Iowa in that type of fashion, in that type of slobber knocker type of a game. That's how Iowa loves to play. And Oregon comes out of that game with the victory. You have to give them credit. Not only that, but the quarterback marches the team down the field behind late in the game for a game-winning field goal. This Dante Moore kid is the real deal, guys. Best bet on the card tonight entire slate of action, college basketball, college football, NBA, NHL. Trust me when I tell you this, it's the Oregon Ducks, guys, at home, at Autzen, laying 25.5 points. This is going to be a blowout. It's going to be an ugly game. I mentioned it. It was either last week or a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago when I told you lay the points with Memphis at home, minus 14. I don't remember exactly who they played. I think it was Rice, if I'm not mistaken. That game was over in the late first quarter, early second quarter. They were already covering the number and never looked back. This is going to be a similar type of game as that. This is going to be a 30-plus point victory for the Oregon Ducks. This is a team that is clicking on all cylinders. They're making a march, if you will, towards a national championship run potentially. And this game tonight is massive if they want to qualify for the college football playoffs. Don't think twice. Take the better team at home. This is a complete team led by a brilliant quarterback. Didn't even get to mention their head coach. He's absolutely phenomenal, doing an amazing job at that program. Lay the 25.5 points. Don't think twice about it. It's not going to be a sweat. It's going to be a blowout in Autzen tonight. Take the Oregon Ducks. Like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Put the ticket in. We're cashing it. And I'll catch you later for tomorrow's action, college football full slate.